Well, first of all, good morning, Phil. How are you, brother?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Let's get into it. With the levels that we've gone to in this organization, especially recently over time, how do you feel about the growth of the organization, the growth of our relationship, and really the overall direction of the organization?
I hate it. We were hoping to stay small and fail. No, yeah, I mean, look, that's what we're here for. I'll start with the relationship part of the question first. That to me is a huge driver of everything. You have to love what you do, love how you do it, and love who you do it with. And I think that when you check all those boxes, it really comes through, and success begets success. You create momentum in business. So that foundational relationship that we have, and we've spoken about it in similar forums in the past, hugely important and usually hugely a great source of satisfaction for me. From a business standpoint, I can't help but think about a very, very early moment in my career here at EPM, probably first 30 days. Don't know if you recall this, but we gathered a bunch of folks, which was a pretty high percentage of the number of employees at the time, in a conference room. Couldn't quite do that today. And we just talked about why, it was a little bit of a coming out party for me here at EPM, and introducing me to a bunch of folks, and, why I joined and why I was here. And, it was the opportunity that I saw in the organization, in the relationship that we had, and how, and I forget the exact words, but I think world domination was in that conversation, and just sort of saw how we'd be in a position to scale the business, and to be right about that at such an early stage where it wasn't so easy to see.
Sure.
Again, hugely rewarding, and a great source of satisfaction for me, both personally and professionally.
And how has, this growth and this experience really even helped you now that you've grown into a role where you've got not only quite a bit of some senior leadership that reports to you, but a lot of people there? What has that helped you through this growth become a better mentor? What are some examples? What are some of your thoughts?
Not always easy for me. One of the things that I've been working with, and I call him my life coach, Michael Olaso. I'm not 100% sure that that's his title or what he was intended
Whatever you
to
want to
do.
call him.
But I very easily see the beauty in life. I oftentimes struggle seeing the beauty in business. I think a part of it is I'm just so driven. So while I've maybe been the de facto president of many companies, that stated role here and what my workday has transformed into, has helped me slow down a little bit. Still, the markets move at breakneck speed, and that's still a prime prerequisite of my role here, is to make sure that we're hedged up properly, make sure that we're at maximum efficiency in our loan disposition game. But, just working with all the C-levels and having some relief on more the day-to-day stuff that I had done for the first 7 or so years here, it has allowed me to smell the proverbial roses a little bit more. And I think that that's helped with patience. If there's been one challenge to me mentoring people over the course of my career, it's just been patience. It hasn't been the ability to communicate. It hasn't been the ability to have a source of knowledge, a foundation of knowledge with which to communicate to folks and to teach folks. It's really been having patience.
What is it about the patience that has maybe stirred you emotionally?
Wow. I mean, that's like an Oprah-like question. I think that time and pauses just allow you to reflect a little bit more. So reflect on what it was like to be up and coming, what it was like to have folks take you under their wing. As you get further away from the inception of your career, I do think that those moments are harder and harder to remember and call upon. So, just those pauses allowed me to reflect on my early days in the business and some of the things that I, may have been thinking at the time, questions that I had, challenges. So it just helps me be a bit more understanding. One of the struggles I've had is because a lot of this has been self-taught. There'll just be things where, I'll say to myself, my gosh, how did you, I don't mean you, Eddie, how did you not pick this up? What are you missing? It's this stuff seems easy to me, like breathing. I don't have to teach someone how to breathe.
Well, breathing is a reflex. I don't know if this industry is a reflex, but yeah, breathing is a reflex.
But there are things within the business that have been instinctual for me and or self-taught. So, that's where I can struggle at times where, like, hey, let me show you this and I'll maybe move a little bit quick because, that's once you understand how to do something, you tend to do it quickly. So that being able to relate on a more basic level has helped.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, safe to say it's as you said, made you more relatable to where they are in their journey as a mentee. What is that? And obviously that's given back to you as a mentor for you to grow your patience, because as we've always said, the mentee and the mentor relationship is it's a two-way street. It interchanges itself, and things you pick up also help you out there. What are some other areas, you've talked about patience, you've talked about growing people, you talked about the personal satisfaction. What is one of the very positive mentorings that you've seen in certain individuals here that has really grown them and you're really proud of some of their thriving?
I hate to call upon one example.
No, I get it. But you got to make one example, so I understand.
Yeah, what I would say is, in a more general way, if you indulge me, is there have been several folks who were either new to the industry, new to their role, or both. And, I am a firm believer in just throwing people into the deep end a bit and seeing how they respond. And we did that. If you want me to name names, for example, I think Casey Abel is one of them. I think Brenda is another example of that.
What about Carrie?
I mean, Kerry is maybe the first example of that. Where there, when I say throw them into the deep end, make no mistake, there was a plan here and there was intentionality around their, first several steps. But, just saying, look, if I've hired someone who's smart, if I've hired someone who is a hard worker, they can learn tasks. They can learn the business.
Sure, skills.
The skills. We always talk about sports. I give me an athlete and I can show them how to hit the strike zone. I can't necessarily show somebody how to throw 100 miles an hour, although science has maybe tweaked that a little bit. So I'm just looking for the most talent and people I can trust, and that's also hugely important when you come back to relationship. I know that when the chips are down, I can trust those people. And so ultimately, those are really three great examples. Kerry coming from the retail side, and we had a real plan. It was just hey, look, the market's changing. We think wholesales are going to be a big part of our future. What do you think? And there was some hesitation, as there might naturally be. To come back to relationship again, one of the things that Kerry and I have always had is trust, and not, hey, I'm going to, steal your wallet or your purse trust, but the trust of, if I feel strongly about an opportunity, or she feels strongly about an opportunity, we're like, okay, run with it. And I came to her with this crazy idea. She agreed. We formulated a plan. She trusted the plan, and the rest is history. I think, in Casey and Brenda's case, threw them into the deep end, gave them some mentorship, created a plan. They've responded hugely. Even Brenda's son, George, underneath, Casey, he has responded fantastically. Those are the ones that are really, really rewarding. When we were getting ready to turn the cameras on, we talked about something that you and I often talk about, is in essence, turning lemons into lemonade. What winners do is they perceive challenges as opportunities, not as obstacles. And that's what all three of those folks have done, is they've embraced the challenges and turned them into opportunities to catapult themselves into the forefront, weave them into the fabric of EPM.
What's one word that you think that describes either your mentoring style or even mentoring as a whole well?
That's I don't think it's a one size fits all. So it's probably two answers there.
Sure. Okay. What do you think? What's a good description? Maybe a better way to put it.
Yeah, I firmly believe in, riding the horse that brought you, or whatever that phrase is, something along those lines, which is, I deal in trust. So when it's important for me, when I mentor people, to trust them to get results, to give them some rope with which to hang themselves, as the saying goes. Trust but verify. That to me is an important part of how I prefer to mentor people, and how I've had success in mentoring people. I do think that for others, it's different. I think for others, they want more of a collaborative process. And I don't think that that's wrong. If you are more of a collaborator in that regard, I strongly urge you to attack it from that angle. And the other angles. I think at the end of the day, you have to believe in what you're doing for it to be effective. I think it would be tough for me to want to be lockstep with someone every single step of the way in their growth. I much prefer to say, hey, it's Monday, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Let's reconvene on Tuesday or Wednesday, unless you have a problem. That's where, you have to be, communicative and roll up your sleeves and be lockstep, because you don't want somebody to sink. You want them to swim. But I prefer if they swim on their own. That's why whenever I have somebody who wants to show me how to do something, and my phone is in front of me. So an example is, if you happen to get a new app, and I think that many people often want to sort of grab your phone and show you how to do. I'm like, no. I'm going to do it. I want to.
So you want to focus on really practice. So that's a lot of your. If we were going to use one word, that your interaction and your mentoring style is all about practicing.
practice, preparation, learning. Something that a euphemism that I've used in the past, and I look back to, even though I've never practiced accounting, I had it, and I couldn't account for a bag of quarters at this point. I couldn't even, I don't know if I can tell you what debits and credits are, but early on in my business career, I did call upon my accounting degree to say, when I excelled in class, it's because I understood why things were. When you talk about math, sometimes it's very easy to just say, hey, Eddie, what's 1 + 1? 2, because you know it's 2. You're not doing the math in your head. What's 2 × 2? 4, because you did your multiplication tables. The problem is, and I know that, I don't know that many could tell me what 248 × 973 is like that.
Let me break out my Apple phone.
Yeah. So just, I need you to sort of think out, a little bit more liberally here. But my point is, if you understand why 1 + 1 = 2, then you understand why 8 + 8 = 16, or 2,348 + 9,624 equals whatever that equals.
Oh man, I'm glad you didn't know that number offhand.
That to me is what learning in business is about. And where I try to come from a leadership or a mentorship standpoint is, I don't want you to be a parrot of mine. I don't want you to be a puppet. I don't want you to regurgitate my knowledge. I don't want you to go through the motions that I just went through. I want you to understand the process.
So application
Correct.
is very important.
Understand why we do these things. Understand, in sales, why we answer the phone a certain way, or why we ask certain questions. You have to understand the application of what your role is, what the strategies are there.
Skills you've picked up as a mentee and mentor.
100%. That we call that, those are the arrows in your proverbial quiver. Those are the tools in your toolbox. They're not tools if they're just a shiny object that you bring out every once in a while and say, oh, I remember that, Phil or Eddie showed their phone like this, when somebody asked a question. I talked about it, yesterday in a video about the why. So much of what we do is about the why. It's not just the why that drives you. It's the why do we, order an appraisal? Why do we have a certain process with which we develop a prospect? Why do we have folks that work for us called underwriters? When you understand the intrinsic necessity,
the dynamic of the business.
Yeah, the dynamic of the business, the role, the relationship, you could be fluid in your actions. And generally speaking, professionals who are fluid, who can go with the flow, are the most successful. And those are the type of people that we should want to cultivate, that we endeavor to cultivate.
And speaking of that, because like I say, in our relationship, how we've both been mentor-mentee to each other, this is one that you've been a very big mentor to myself on, and it's kind of the vision of the organization's life brand. So if you can touch just a little bit on that, because I think you've presented me amazing thought processes that is not part of my wiring, I think that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a part of the business I'm very excited about. It comes back to relationship. We've said it several times over the course of the last 20, 30 minutes. So, being able to create lifestyle opportunities that partners and, EPM players might not be able to create for themselves. It's not just saying, hey, we went to a golf event, we went to a football game, Ric Flair, or Monty shouted me out. That's not the reason to do it. The reason to do it are the relationships that are oftentimes formed around those events.
Sure.
One of my closest friends to this day was somebody I met at a golfing event that I was invited to, and he was one of the hosts. And, sure, in the beginning, it's like, boy, that was really cool. I want to go back, so I'm going to give him some business so I can get invited back. But then it quickly went from that to, I want to get invited back because I want to share that experience.
So it was a bonding. It was part of that camaraderie that you were able to build, that you want to build through the lifestyle and the vision.
That's what life is about. We talk about there's no work-life balance. So that's where this is really important, from my perspective, for us to leverage this sensibility within EPM to say, hey, when you're home, there's a work element to it. And when you're at work, there's a home element to it. And let's blur that line a little bit. Why can't I have fun at work? This is not a, zero-sum game. I'm happy at home. I'm miserable at work. I never work at home. I never, play at work. Doesn't have to be that way. I think, and it comes back to that finding the beauty in life, finding the beauty in business. The more fun we have here, the more productive we can be. There's a time and a place for everything, and we've got to get work done. But I think that lifestyle concept just helps us build better relationships and build a better team. And the more we want to accomplish something together, hey, united we stand, divided we fall. I didn't coin that phrase, but I think it's really appropriate to this subject matter.
I agree. Well, Phil, you're always so much fun to work with, so many knowledgeable things I gained, and obviously in our relationship, I've definitely applied and learned a lot from you. So with that, obviously, as always, thank you for your time. Greatly appreciate it. Love the insight. Obviously, love the pictures of you, Tom, and Nick right over your right shoulder, but my left over there, and then the two boys together. I know that you're coming together with your office, and that's a process. And you've had a little bit of a frustrating day. We understand that, but even through all that, you still had a smile. You still brought it, and you definitely gave some great information I think will be very helpful. So thank you, brother. Love you. Be well. Chat with you soon. Be well.